The Galactic Military Academy's training grounds fell silent as Zethkar stepped into the combat ring. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, the Krillion's chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the artificial suns, each plate reinforced with biometal that could deflect plasma rounds. His forearms moved with predatory grace, each ending in claws that had earned him the nickname Ripper among his peers. Across from him stood Marcus Chen, the Academy's only human cadet. At barely 1.8 meters, he looked like a child next to the towering alien. His pale skin seemed almost translucent compared to Zethkar's armored hide, and his 2 thin arms appeared laughably inadequate for combat. "This is a mistake," whispered Veltara, a hegemony observer, her tentacles writhing with concern. "The human will be slaughtered." Admiral Thos, the Academy's Valian commandant, remained stoic. His crystalline features betrayed no emotion, but his bioluminescent patches pulsed with barely contained anxiety. When Earth had been granted membership in the Galactic Confederation, no one expected their military candidates to last a week at the Academy. Most species required extensive genetic modifications or technological augmentation just to survive basic training, yet somehow this fragile human had made it to the final combat assessment. "Begin combat simulation," the arena's AI announced. Zethkar moved first, as everyone expected. His enhanced reflexes, already superior to most species, had been further boosted by military-grade neural implants. He crossed the 15-meter distance in less than 2 seconds, all 4 arms striking simultaneously in a pattern that had earned him a perfect score in every previous bout. The human should have been dead before he could blink. Instead, Marcus twisted sideways with impossible fluidity, letting Zethkar's primary claws whistle past his face by mere millimeters. The secondary strike, aimed at his torso, met empty air as the human dropped into a crouch that no Krillion's rigid spine could replicate. Before Zethkar could process what had happened, Marcus's leg swept out in a vicious arc. The impact against Zethkar's knee joint produced a sickening crack that echoed through the arena. "Impossible," breathed Veltara. But Marcus wasn't finished. As Zethkar stumbled, roaring in pain and confusion, the human flowed upward like liquid violence. His elbow, that seemingly weak human joint, struck with surgical precision at the gap between 2 chitinous plates on Zethkar's neck. The Krillion's roar became a strangled gasp as his nervous system seized. In the space of 3 heartbeats, the Academy's strongest cadet collapsed. The arena erupted in chaos. Medics rushed forward while spectators from a dozen species babbled in their native tongues, their universal translators struggling to keep up with the flood of disbelief. Admiral Thos descended to the arena floor, his patches now pulsing bright amber, a color that in Valian culture indicated profound confusion. "Explain," he demanded of Marcus, who stood calmly beside his fallen opponent. Marcus shrugged, a uniquely human gesture that had baffled xenobiologists for months. He fought like his species always fights, with overwhelming force and superior technology. "I fought like mine does, which is dirty." Dr. Silwyn, the Academy's chief xenobiologist, began running scans on both combatants. Her ethereal features, translucent and gossamer thin, trembled as she processed the data. "Admiral," she called, her voice like chiming crystal, "you need to see this." The gathered observers crowded around her holographic display. It showed the final moments of combat in slow motion, with detailed biological analysis overlaid on the images. "The human," Dr. Silwyn began, "has no cybernetic enhancements, no genetic modifications, no performance-boosting drugs or symbiotic organisms." "That's impossible," Admiral Thos stated. "No unmodified species could match Krillian reflexes." "That's just it," the doctor replied, manipulating the hologram to highlight Marcus's movements. He didn't match them. He anticipated them. The replay showed Marcus beginning his evasive movement a fraction of a second before Zethkar even started his attack. "Furthermore," Dr. Silwyn continued, "observe the precision of his strikes. The human somehow identified the exact structural weak points in Krillian anatomy, weaknesses that even we didn't know existed until now." Veltara's tentacles had gone completely still, a sign of deep thought in her species. "How long have humans been studying combat?" Marcus overheard and answered casually. "About 3 million years, give or take. We had to. We didn't evolve claws or armor or venom glands. We couldn't outrun predators or overpower them, so we learned to think faster, adapt quicker, and fight smarter. He gestured toward the still unconscious Zethkar. Your species perfected yourselves for war. Mine perfected war itself. Admiral Thoss processed this information. Every species in the Confederation had reached technological advancement through different paths. The Krillians had evolved as apex predators. The Valians had developed their crystalline technology through collective consciousness. The Ethereals had transcended physical limitations through energy manipulation. But humans had evolved not as predators but as persistence hunters. They had developed not overwhelming power, but overwhelming adaptability. What other skills do humans possess that we should know about? The Admiral asked carefully. Marcus smiled, another expression that had puzzled xenobiologists. Well, sir, you haven't seen us fight as a group yet. In the weeks that followed, military theorists across the galaxy would frantically revise their understanding of combat doctrine. The Confederation's enemies would learn to fear not just human technology or human numbers, but human innovation. But in that moment, as medics worked to repair Zethkar's damaged pride along with his injuries, one thing became crystal clear to everyone present. The galaxy had underestimated humanity's greatest weapon, the fact that they had never stopped needing weapons at all. Marcus Chen graduated first in his class. He was immediately recruited by Confederation Special Operations, where he began training other species in what human military historians called asymmetric warfare. The Krillians, with their superior strength and armor, learned to watch their blind spots. The Valians, with their crystalline logic and collective consciousness, learned to expect the unexpected. And throughout the galaxy, a new saying emerged in a dozen languages. When you fight a human, remember, they've been practicing longer than you've been civilized.